So today I want to speak to you about self-care, and I've already shared a little bit in some of the other stuff that we've done about what we're doing here. And at the moment, we get up every day at 5 o'clock and we go cycling or walking, long walks, and then we go to swimming in the sea, and then we do a bit of yoga and a bit of other, push-ups and press-ups and various forms of exercise. And then we try and eat healthily, and it's a big job taking care of oneself, and it's difficult. A lot of people find it very difficult. They don't even think about it, many people, and for those that do think about it, find it very challenging. You have to curb your appetite, and you have to break through the pain of it all. And I often think to myself, when I used to go to the gym, and now that I'm out here and I'm doing some painful stretching or exercise, I'm thinking, like, this is all as a result of one little squirt in 1966 when my dad and my mum got it together. And that squirt led to this huge number of liabilities in my life, one of which is self-care.
Yeah, for sure. We speak about it. It's a downstream problem that we find ourselves in. The source solution is not to have been born in the first place, as David Benatar writes in his book, Better Never to Have Been Born. He also appreciates that that's the source solution to all the problems, the downstream problems. One of which is actually being here, having to deal with yourself when you're post the event of your birth. There's an immense amount of work required to pull yourself out of the mud, in terms of self-development, education, all of the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. You've got the system preying on you, capitalist system, work. You've got to try and liberate yourself from wage slavery. And as you say, physically, you've got to keep the machine going well, which requires an immense amount of education and information and work, exercise, etc., etc. So, as we're saying, the ultimate solution is to think about, when you're having a child, this is what you're unleashing. You're unleashing a packet of problems, a parcel of problems in the form of your child. And it's not that you can help them with that. They're in an individual capsule that you don't know anything about. You don't know what their liver functions like, what their heart condition is, what their lungs are like, whatever. You see, and they're going to be plagued with all kinds of problems along their journey that you will have no part in helping them with, because obviously they'll be away from you, they're separate from you. Hence me saying, why breed when you already have an inner child to feed? You can intimately nurture that one, but you can't intimately nurture your children. There's a separation. The capsule of flesh that they're in is not your capsule. So as much as you feel you might be knowing them very well, there is a separation there. And this is the trouble. The poor child is alone in their own personal prison. If it goes wrong, then it's really serious. And mummy and daddy can't help them at all. There's nothing you can do. Evidenced by as I keep mentioning, the teen suicide figures. Very high. Why? Because the children are alone with their struggle. They're left alone in their prison. Mummy and daddy can't reach in and sort them out. You see? So this is the poignancy of the whole situation.
Yeah, and as I said earlier on, many people don't even know what the word self-care means. They haven't even thought about it. I mean, I personally came across the concept as a word or as a phrase when I attended a 12-step program, which is for addiction. I've been struggling with eating for many, many years, and when I got there, I met many people who had a similar addiction, and they were talking about, for the first time, this idea of self-care, and I didn't really know much about it. And the reason why I didn't know much about it is because my parents didn't know much about it. They didn't teach me by example. They didn't talk to me at all about doing exercise. They didn't really know what a healthy diet was. And so they weren't a role model, and I didn't know about that. And it was only when I was at a state of desperation. I was like 20 kilos overweight, and I was really upset and sad and depressed about my situation, about being out of control with the food, that I went to this 12-step program and started, which I don't go to anymore, but I still think there's a lot of good aspects to it, and there are also some problems with it. But it was only when I went to that I came across this idea of self-care, and then I read this book, Dopamine Nation. And I will keep going back on this, because people need to understand this. It's so difficult to overcome, even though these ideas are so obvious when you get it. Once you get it, it's so obvious, blindingly obvious. It's difficult to understand why everyone doesn't just agree, right? But I read this book, Dopamine Nation, in which she said that, and as a result of that, I came to understand that we have to suffer in this world. Yeah, we have to suffer in this world, and it's just a choice. I'm not even sure it's a choice, but there's a choice between suffering one way or another. So, I have to suffer by doing exercise, which is painful, right? And if it's not painful while you're doing it, it's not meant to be painful afterwards, unless you haven't done a lot of exercise for a long time. But once you get used to it, it's not painful afterwards. It feels good afterwards. But during the exercise, if you're not in discomfort, then you're not doing it right. So you have to put yourself through all that discomfort, and then with the eating, you have to put yourself through the discomfort of holding back and disciplining oneself, and you're up against. And when it comes to the food, I mean, it's an insane situation when it comes to the food. We're here in Cyprus, and there's hardly anywhere that you can go to find decent food. What I would call decent, because they're using all the worst oils, and they're using everything the cheapest, because it's all about money. And it's all, and you go to a supermarket, which is I call that the devil's playground, and everything's designed very cleverly, with the wrappers all designed to get you to buy all their crap. Right, all the chocolates and the cakes and the biscuits, and you have to fight all that, right? And why do you have to fight all that? Because your parents had sex, right, at your expense. Their orgasm is the price that you're paying. Your life is the price you pay for somebody else's orgasm, and it was not necessary. And that moment created a whole bunch of liabilities for you to the minute you come out, you're crying, and then you have to learn to navigate and learn to walk and learn to talk and learn to speak and try and navigate the world, and try not to get run over, and try to avoid. And then there's what's going on inside your body, this battle with your with your blood cells, and trying to protect you from illness, and on and on and on it goes. All these liabilities to take care of your body in so many different ways. And another thing we do is I go to sleep now early, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I go to sleep so that I can get up at 5 o'clock. It's another pain in the neck, right? I can't. The other night we indulged, and we stayed up till 4 o'clock, and it messed up our whole system for a couple of days. Yeah, all because of what? All because my parents had unprotected sex in 1966. Completely unnecessary and crazy, and creates this whole set of needs just to get through life. You have to take care of yourself and do all these things.
Yeah, for sure. The production of children is the opening of a Pandora's box of problems and pain, for sure. All unnecessary if you can contact the inner child within, as I've been saying. When you do so, and you raise that one properly, you will find that you don't need the surrogate, you don't need the external child at all. There's no need for that at all, because you've done the job. You've exorcised the desire or the natural urge to have a child. You've already contacted a child, the one that needs your help most, which is the inner child. Everyone who feels within themselves will feel that they've been neglected. That's the reason they feel this lack and this desire for another child, to do it again, you see, because it hasn't been done properly the first time. If you just hold on a minute, think about it, you try to employ meta thinking, you've already got an inner child that's crying out, that's neglected, which is your own very self. We're all arrested until we perform this job of parenting upon ourselves. We all remain arrested. That's why the lack, that's why the suicide, that's why all the need to consume, because we feel empty inside. The little child is crying in a corner of yourself inside, and it's been neglected. And to have a child while you've already got the child inside that hasn't been nurtured is to neglect the one inside. So it's a double whammy. You'll also you're not fit to parent the one outside, and you haven't parented the one inside. So inevitably it crumbles and it goes to pot, the whole project.
Just wanted to just remind me of one little aspect. Is you say, why breed when you have an inner child to feed? And then I connected that with this idea that it takes a village to raise a child, right? And therefore I would say that actually, yes, we do have our inner child to feed, but we can't even do that on our own, right? We can't even do that on our own. And it's, it's the same as like, a single parent, it's very, very difficult to bring up a child as a single parent, as anyone who's been brought up by a single parent will know, right? And therefore, we should actually, instead of having a child with someone else, we should parent ourselves with someone else, which is what we're doing here together, right? The two of us. And maybe it would be improved when we have a third person coming in, like we have tomorrow, but my brother's coming and joining us and can help. And we can help each other, because it takes a village to bring up a child, and the child is within us, right? And we can't do it on our own.
That's right. It's an evolution of Carl Rogers' work, the co-counselling work, the idea that he developed. This is a radical development on that. So we're playing each other's parents as we're in any friendship. The ideal way to go about it is to both recognise that you've got this inner child that's been neglected, and then we role play. We've spoken about this in another podcast specifically. We role play each other's perfect parent, and then the recipient of that parent's guidance is the child. So I regress myself back to a time when I was a child. Mine was the fear of swimming, as I've mentioned before. This was locked in, so I had a deep-rooted fear of swimming. Now Danny is a good swimmer, so he's got no fear of water or swimming. So he plays my father. He takes the role of mentor, and he plays my confident father in the water. So he takes my hand, I go back, I feel the fear arising, he takes me and assures me that everything's okay when I'm with him. He will show me how to master this medium perfectly. And this is what's happened. As a result of that, I'm now swimming in the sea further than I've ever done in my life. We're both swimming out really far in the sea. We're the furthest people out when we look across. There's nobody as far out as we are. And this I would never have been able to attain. Even swimming pools I was frightened of before. I was frightened of the swimming pool even, because that's where the original trauma occurred, in this trying to learn to swim in the swimming pool. And a teacher threw me in, you see, and then I nearly drowned. And from that point on, no, see, the water's a horrible medium. But now absolutely the water's like a lovely comfortable womb now. It's lovely and comforting and smooth and silky, and I'm completely relaxed there.
And this similar, the converse to that, is when I haven't been able to maintain tidiness. Nobody ever really taught me how to be tidy. That just wasn't part of my experience as a child, and so I just developed being messy, and I just and it's really difficult for you because you don't like that, and so you help me, and you treat me like a little kid. Yes, okay, look here, you've left this mess now, Danny, tidy it up now, it's okay, don't worry, you can do it. And slowly and surely I'm learning to be tidy. And I know that might sound strange. In fact, my youngest son mocked me when I told him about this. He said, "Oh, I realised that when I was 6 years old," and that's true. Yeah, different people have different things going on. Different people have arrested development in different places. But if you want to take care of the child, find someone that you can co-counsel with, and start to get to the bottom of your own problems, of our own problems, and that's what we're doing here together. Rather than creating a whole new person and then spending the rest of your life concentrating all your energy on trying to help that person.